Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, dear friends, a lot of excellencies, good afternoon, everybody. I am very happy and it's a great pleasure for me to welcome everybody today at this very well-attended event. Discussion on Latvian and European foreign and security policy challenges and opportunities. And it shows that beginning of the year, it is a big interest from all sides. And I think it's also the good moment to discuss the previous year's developments, challenges and opportunities, and also to outline scenarios and to provide some recommendations for this year as well. And I hope, we might hope that this will be the happy new year with good developments. And we also do it on a permanent basis that we start every year in January the discussion with a Latvian foreign and security policy yearbook publication and presentation, because I think it's a good moment to reflect both backwards and also forwards. And it's a good tradition. I will not be original. We live in interesting times. I think it's frequently repeated, it's frequently said. And we may now more understand why Chinese perceive it as a curse rather than a blessing. We experience global turbulence, if not turmoil, and most likely we have quite a big chances it will continue in 2016. Europe, we will discuss today, the Europe in a second part. The Europe's like-minded community apparently is, on many issues, increasingly less like-minded. We have risks of British dilemmas and exit, the Poland's urbanization risks of transatlantic, I would use even the word Trumpization, Putin's geopolitics of resentment and adventurism, also Middle Eastern tragic mess, which increasingly reminds us 30 years war in a 17th century with religious hatred and tensions, and which seems to be never-ending story. It also means that radicalization, terrorism, refugee deadlock are here to stay for a long time, or it seems so. On the top of it, China's economic stagnation. So also economically, there are quite unpleasant trajectories. So where and what are the good news? This sounds like a perfect storm, what we experience right now. Or maybe not. Maybe this is not a perfect storm. Let's avoid bleak, self-fulfilling prophecy scenarios. Because at the very end, the future depends on the actors and participants of this future making, and basically on us. It depends on European policies, it depends also on Latvian policies. And that's why I believe, so I hope, is my optimistic part, that also the symbol of this publication, the Dao, which is creative, informed, creative and self-confident as well. I think I mentioned twice creative, so let's hope so. Proactive as well, you can add to this. And I think it, of course, should take in a context of partnerships, be it within the European Union, be it also among the partners in providing debates and recommendations. I think partnerships are indispensable in many ways. And also here, I immediately would like already to come to the domestic and local partnerships that we have, that we as an institute, and also debates and engage of the different thoughts. We have excellent partnership in the Latvian Parliament, and I can see a number of Latvian parliamentarians here. And thank you for support, and thank you for engagement and increasing engagement. And January is a month of foreign policy debate as well. And I think this also underlines the interest and increasing interest in the foreign policy debate. We have increasingly productive cooperation with Latvian members of the European Parliament, and we highly appreciate, in this regard, the leadership and support by Ms. Sandra Kalniņš, Vice President of European People's Party Group. And this event actually is bipartisan. On the one hand, Sandra Kalniņš, who represents European People's Party group, but at the same time, we also have an excellent partnership with Friedrich-Ebert-Stiftung. And I can just increasingly and continuously emphasize how productive, how efficient, how pleasant our cooperation with Friedrich-Ebert-Stiftung has been. Friedrich-Ebert-Stiftung has been an indispensable partner in almost every successful step what the Institute has done in recent years. And I'm always happy to underline it. And this yearbook is an example of this. So with this, I finish my introductory remarks, and I am very happy to give floor to Werner Rechmann, who is the director of Friedrich-Ebert-Stiftung Baltic office, with whom we have continuous discussions and disagreements, but I think this is a part of a debate, and it's a part of the pleasant and very productive debate. Werner, the floor is yours. I'm very happy to give the floor to you. Thank you.
Excellencies, members of Parliament, dear friends, and also colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Also on behalf of the Friedrich-Ebert Foundation, I would like, first of all, to wish you a still good new year, a couple of days old already, and success, not only in terms of foreign affairs, but also on the private level, which I think is also very important. I would like, first of all, to thank Andris Sprūds and his colleagues of the Latvian Institute of International Affairs for this cooperation we have for a couple of years. And we are proud also to be part of all the activities of the Latvian Institute, and especially security, foreign affairs, which is also a task on our side as a German-based political foundation related to the Social Democrats in Germany, with our Minister of Foreign Affairs in Germany, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, who has been also on different occasions in Latvia. After Andris Sprūds' speech, of course, I wouldn't like to talk about Latvian foreign affairs issues and security, because there he and, of course, all the other members who participated in this book and also being on the panel are much more familiar and really experts. But my point, and that would be the only one, of course, we have the Russian Ukrainian crisis, Crimea annexion, we have the Middle East crisis, but I think for the European Union, in my understanding, and I started my job in 1979 working with the European Commission in Brussels, and that was a fantastic time, the first direct elections for the European Parliament, and we were so enthusiastic concerning not only a liberal market system, but a political union. And that is challenged now from different sides, and for me, the major issue for Europe, for the European Union, will be how to solve the refugee crisis. Because we have the split between the western parts of the members of the Union and also the eastern parts. And in my opinion, Latvia, together with the other two Baltic states, will, that is my hope, and should work more closely together as a Baltic states and improving their influence within Brussels, and that is my personal opinion, should maybe not follow the position and the politics of the Visegrad countries. But that is my personal point of view. I didn't ask the German Minister of Foreign Affairs and even the German ambassador, welcome Mr. Schütte, for this comment. That is my personal one. Thanks very much, and it's a pleasure to work together with the Institute, and we will continue it for this year and also the following years, and I'm really looking forward to follow the debate. Thanks very much.
Werner, thank you once more for the very productive and pleasant cooperation. One thing is, I don't want to engage immediately in debate, but one thing I think where we can follow Visegrad countries is to establish something similar to what Visegrad countries have, Visegrad Fund. It would be a great idea to have a Baltic Fund or to have a Baltic Council and to engage more in grassroots NGO, think tank, university engagement in the region here and to really to give additional push to the regional cooperation here in the Baltics. But and perhaps Ojārs will tell some things on the Baltic cooperation. And with this, I'm very happy to give the floor to Ojārs Kalniņš, who is the chairman of Foreign Affairs Committee at Latvian Parliament. We have excellent cooperation with both committees, Foreign Affairs Committee, and also I saw Lolita Čigāne here, European Affairs Committee in the Parliament. And we appreciate also your support and your engagement in debate and enriching debate and also supporting the Latvian Institute of International Affairs. And Ojārs, please, the floor is yours. I'm happy to give the opportunity for you also to express your thoughts on what expects us in 2016. Please.
Thank you very much, Andris. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, friends, colleagues. Happy New Year, like everyone else has said. I think we have one more New Year to go. That's with the Chinese, so we could still anticipate that, but we could continue to celebrate our New Year. Now, I think all of you have heard of a British rock group called U2. And any of the younger generation who's seen the movie Bridge of Spies probably now understands what U2 refers to. But the group U2 had a song a couple of years ago that said, "Stuck in the moment and no way out." And I thought about that, and I think a lot of people may want to characterize the situation we're in internationally. But in the song, there's a line that goes before that, and that is, you have to get yourself together because we're stuck in the moment with no way out. And to me, I think those are the words that offer somewhat of a theme for this coming year. We have to get ourselves together on various levels in various international organizations. It begins here in Latvia. We have to do one thing to get ourselves together, and that is get a government. Hopefully that will be resolved in the next week or so, because before we can return to the business that we've been undertaking, we have to know who our government is. I think we've had a very successful year, a successful presidency that we tried to continue in the second half, and we're moving in the right direction on a lot of issues, but of course that movement gets slowed down when you're in the middle of a governmental change. So Latvia has to get itself together to start tackling some of the other problems that require cooperation with our friends, neighbors, and allies. Now, the next organization that has to get itself together is the European Union. As we know, more and more we hear that its problem is that it could be falling apart. I think that's the biggest challenge that all of us faces in the coming year, is not only to keep the European Union together, but help it get its act together. As Andris mentioned, the EU faces a lot of challenges. There's Brexit, there's an upcoming referendum in the UK, which, as I understand, could already take place this year, which will have a major impact on EU politics. There's the migration terrorism crisis, which is challenging the European Union at various levels. We have to get together and have a unified approach to this problem. There's challenges facing the Schengen agreement, and most of us, I think, would agree that this is one of the foundations of the modern European Union, and we have to face this challenge, not to lose that. So on many different levels, the European Union has to get itself together to get out of this moment that many feel we're stuck in. The third organization, which I think has done a good job in getting itself together in the last 2 years, is NATO. We could thank Mr. Putin for that because he's helped NATO realize just what its raison d'etre is. And a lot of very positive things have happened, especially for those countries in this region on the front lines. I think since the Wales Summit, a lot of progress has been made. Now, the Wales Summit was billed as a summit of reassurance and deterrence. Now, those of us in the Baltic region, and I think along the Eastern Front, have received a great deal of reassurance over the last 2 years since Wales. We've seen the establishment of NATO force integration units, the nephews, in the Baltic states, in Romania, and Bulgaria and Poland. We just formalized the opening of that command center in Riga a month or so ago. We know that the Stratcom Center for Excellence here in Riga has been doing a lot of great work and has even influenced the EU in establishing a task force on Stratcom. Baltic air policing is working, and so you could say that, well, 2 years ago we got all the reassurance we needed and our people needed to have confidence in NATO and our alliance. There was a question about deterrence. Well, I think if we look back on the moment of the annexation of Crimea, the Russian invasion of eastern Ukraine, there was a lot of question about how far they would go. Well, we see that the deterrence has worked because it hasn't gone beyond Ukraine at this point. So deterrence and reassurance at Wales have been a success. If I were to look at the Warsaw Summit this year, I would probably say maybe this should be about perseverance and plausibility. We have to persevere. We have to continue with all the projects, with all of the policies that have been adopted over the last 2 years at NATO. We have to keep going on these policies. But plausibility is equally important because these have to be believable policies. They have to be real policies, and I think here the key to plausibility is for all of the NATO countries to finally achieve that pledge of 2% of GDP. Some countries have done that. Latvia has made that pledge. We hope to reach it by 2018. And clearly here Europe has to also do its fair share, along with what the US and Canada are investing in NATO, for us to have real plausibility. So if we can accomplish that, then I think here too NATO has done a great job in getting itself together. And while I hadn't planned on talking about Nordic-Baltic cooperation, as Andris mentioned, I think we've been getting together there for many years. This year Latvia has a leadership role both in NB8 and in the Baltic Council. So here's a chance for us, once we get our act together and get our government up and running, is to try to move more also in terms of security and defense issues in our Baltic region. And finally, I just want to express my gratitude and appreciation to the Latvian Institute of International Affairs, because you've really gotten your act together. I think that the level of activity over the last few months, over the last year, has been very noticeable. You have a great program planned for this year. I'm glad that the government and the parliament could take a hand in this in promoting it. But basically, you are doing one of the most important jobs we have in Latvia in getting non-governmental experts, organizations, and academia involved in a high-level debate on foreign affairs. So I think you've done a great job there, and I want to congratulate you on that. And from here on in, I think I'm just going to sit down and listen to the experts get into the details on all these issues. But again, I want to congratulate the Latvian Institute of International Affairs for this event, and I look forward to a very useful, productive discussion moving toward the goal that at the least I've set here, and that is getting our act together once and for all so we can deal with these challenges that we face here in Latvia, that we face in our region, that Europe faces, and basically that we face globally. The only way we're going to solve these problems is by working together, not tearing each other apart. Thank you.